Well, we're getting information from Mammoth Lakes Police Chief Dan Watson about an incident that happened this morning in Mammoth Lakes. And according to a press release, during the early morning hours of Wednesday, December 19th, Mammoth Lakes police officers responded to a call of an intoxicated man who had just left a local hotel. Now, while searching for the person in sub-zero temperatures, the two officers were called away to handle a domestic violence in progress call. Now, after handling that domestic violence situation, the officers returned to the area of South Frontage Road to continue their search. Now, while they were doing so, they noticed that windows were broken at Jalapeno's restaurant on South Frontage Road and that there was smoke and heat inside the building. The Mammoth Lakes Fire Department responded and put out a small fire that appeared to have been lit for warmth. The suspect was gone, but it was determined that cash was missing from the register. Now, the press release goes on to state that Mammoth Lakes Police Department officers were able to continue their search and more footprints were found, which led to a residence on Callahan Way. The occupants were contacted and the officers' investigation resulted in the arrest of Evan Jack Lewis, age 18, of Mammoth Lakes on charges of burglary and arson. Evidence connecting Lewis to the crime at Jalapenos was recovered, and he was booked at the Mono County Jail in Bridgeport. Well, Bennett Kessler filed this following report. Mammoth Police Chief Dan Watson has confirmed that 3 of his men have tested for positions with the Mono County Sheriff's Office. Chief Watson said Mono County is, quote, conducting background checks on 3 officers, end quote. Now, if these 3 officers leave, Mammoth Police Department could lose a total of 8 officers by July of 2013, leaving only 9 on board. Now, faced with the payoff of the $30 million debt in September, the town of Mammoth Lakes called for a cut of 7 police positions, the Mammoth Lakes Town Council did. Now, although at their last meeting, at least 3 councilmen denied their previous statements and claimed that what they really meant was that they wanted a $1.1 million cut in the police department, and it's up to Chief Watson to figure it out. This was viewed as an attempt to switch public pressure from the Mammoth Lakes Town Council to the Mammoth Lakes Police Chief. Now, the early proclamation that the police department would lose 7 positions sent morale tumbling and officers looking for jobs somewhere else. Now, that early message has driven away 4 officers so far, with the possibility of 3 more. The town of Mammoth Lakes cuts to the police department will not take effect until July 1st of 2013, and so, as strange as it seems, Chief Watson will actually start to recruit for officers. The chief said, quote, technically, I can hire up to the current strength, end quote. Now, Watson said he will tell recruits that their job may not be here after July 1st, but he pointed out that officer numbers will drop to 9, and under town cuts, the department can maintain 10 officers. Now, Chief Watson said all of this could change if the Police Officers Association makes concessions to save positions. Watson says he has to plan for the worst-case scenario of 10 officers by July 1st. Now, since personnel costs in the police department amount to more than 75% of the budget, the cuts will come out of personnel in some way. Well, times are still tough for a lot of people, and the 2nd annual Shop with a Cop program in Inyo and Mono County, well, brought back some joy. Bennett Kessler filed this story, noting that police chiefs, sheriffs, and officers and non-sworn personnel from all 4 law enforcement agencies headed to Bishop, where they were able to sponsor 26 children that may not have had a Christmas without them. Officers said those involved were, quote, very needy families. Now, some children who joined the cops were buying pellets for their stove to help keep their families warm. Boy, what a great thing that was. The cops and the kids then went to Whiskey Creek in Bishop for breakfast, and then they headed to Kmart. Lights and sirens thrilled the kids and announced their arrival to go shopping. Sierra Wave Media's Ron Alexander was there to capture the sights. Now, the heartwarming shopping trip saw kids and officers and others with big smiles and full shopping carts. Once the children picked out gifts for their families, they brought them up to the front for gift wrap. Now, 3 top cops attended the event: Bishop Police Chief Chris Carter, Inyo County Sheriff Bill Lutz, and Mammoth Police Chief Dan Watson. And you can check out some more photos on Eastern Sierra Shop with a Cop on Facebook, and you can see the address on our website, sierrawave.net. Well, Bennett Kessler filed this story. Since July, the Inyo County Planning Department has focused on an update of the general plan and zoning code. Now, some of the information discussed at the meetings has filtered out to the public. Residents have begun to contact Sierra Wave Media with concerns about much more restrictive regulation when it comes to use of private property. Now, Inyo Planning Director Josh Hart said planners have focused on code enforcements and will turn to special events. The Inyo County Board of Supervisors had pointed to those 2 areas. Now, planners have worked on code enforcement language that would be enforceable by the Inyo County Council. Director Hart said several high-profile cases involving residential property use or misuse went unresolved by the county, and the district attorney did not prosecute. Now, this caused a greater focus, he said, on code enforcement. Now, on the other hand, there are those concerned that a more proactive code enforcement might not be the best solution for the entire county, particularly remote desert areas. Hart said one way would be to create different zoning districts, which would make sense for the particular area. Hart said there are on-the-ground differences, and he pointed to West Bishop compared to Keeler as an example. Now, you can see more on this story also on our website, sierrawave.net. We will note the next discussion on these issues will happen at the January 23rd Inyo Planning Commission meeting in Independence. More information is available online at inyoplanning.org, or you can call the Inyo Planning Department at 760-878-0263. Well, we know there are thousands of visitors in the Eastern Sierra for the holiday weekend, and the Mammoth Lakes Police Department would like to remind everybody, residents, visitors, business owners, that parking is prohibited on town streets between November 1st through April 30th. Obstructing snow removal equipment is also prohibited. Now, the Mammoth Lakes Police Department only enforces these sections when it is snowing or after a snowstorm while snow removal equipment is in operation. Motorists should be aware of weather forecasts and make sure their vehicles are off the street when snow removal equipment is operating or may be operating. Any accumulation of snow means plows will be out, and the snow removal is not complete until the snow blowers have removed the berms created by the plows. Now, vehicles should always be parked behind the snow stakes. Operating snow removal equipment is complicated, and when there are heavy accumulations of snow, vehicles parked partially on the side street of the stakes cannot always be observed. A passenger vehicle struck by snow removal equipment can receive substantial damage, and if the vehicle is parked on the street side of the stakes, the accident is the fault of the driver of the illegally parked vehicle. Press release goes on to state that you are asked to please help the town of Mammoth Lakes in its snow removal operations by parking legally during winter months. We'll be back with more news.